Who? Who's heir?
All right, today we're going to break down a really unsettling short story. It's all about perception, paranoia, and this chilling idea that sometimes what you're studying might just be studying you right back.
So our story kicks off in the middle of the night. Picture this. Our main character, Dr. Aryan, is all by himself. He's in the cold, sterile, and very dark lab number 7. But, it's not going to stay sterile for long.
I mean, imagine that kind of silence. It's so deep, the only thing you hear is your own breathing. And then, that quiet gets broken. Not by something loud, but by this soft, rhythmic tapping. Tick, tick, tick. It's the kind of sound that makes the hair on your arms stand up, because it sounds like someone is right there with him.
And things just escalate from there, one step at a time. First, the emergency lights just die, plunging him into absolute darkness. Then, that tapping starts. He finally gets his phone's flashlight working, and he sees something on the table that, well, it definitely wasn't there a minute ago, a new microscope slide. And when he looks through the lens, he sees a shadow, an entity moving around, and it does not look like any microorganism he's ever seen.
Right under that slide, there's a note. And this is our first huge clue. The message is simple, and it's cryptic. Infection is not in the blood, it's in the mind. Whoa. Right away we know this isn't some virus or bacteria we're dealing with. The real battle is happening inside his head. This one sentence just flips the whole story from a medical mystery to pure psychological horror.
Dr. Aryan, completely terrified, does what any of us would do. He runs. He bolts out of the lab, thinking he'll find the normal hospital hallways, maybe a security guard. But what he finds is something else, something way, way worse.
He's completely alone. It's not just his lab that's gone dark. The entire hospital is like a giant tomb. The wards are totally empty. The lights are all out. There is not a single other person in sight. He's trapped in this huge, dead building, and the isolation is just crushing.
And then, another clue. As he's running through these empty halls, he starts seeing a word scrawled on the walls, over and over, in what looks like blood. The word is observe. Now, is that a command for him? A warning telling him to pay closer attention? Or is it a hint that he's the one being observed? So this is where the story really takes a turn. Just when it feels like the silence is going to swallow him whole, a sound cuts through the darkness. The ding of an elevator. The doors slide open, and standing there is a figure, just a silhouette, holding a file that looks awfully familiar.
The figure starts talking, and his first words just turn the whole story inside out. Think about that. Dr. Aryan thought he was the scientist, the one in control, the observer. But this line shatters that completely. Suddenly, he's the subject. That shadow on the slide wasn't the specimen. He was.
Then the man drops another confusing line. We've been thinking Dr. Aryan was working on a sample from some missing patient. But if the patient isn't missing, then where are they? It's a puzzle that needs to be solved, like right now.
And here we go. We're about to get to the absolute core of this mystery. The man in the elevator just hands Dr. Aryan the blood report he was holding. He says the answer to everything is right there on the very last page.
Okay, let's just sit with that for a second. This is the big question, right? If the patient was never gone, if the source of this infection of the mind is in the hospital this whole time, then who? Who is it?
And there it is. Oh man, the patient is Dr. Aryan. This cold clinical report lays out the horrifying truth. His entire experience, the dark lab, the empty hospital, the shadow, it was all a hallucination, a symptom of his own paranoia. And that note at the bottom is just the final twist of the knife. Patient believes he is the doctor.
But if you think that's the end of the story, you're mistaken. The story isn't quite done with us. In these last few moments, the curtain gets pulled back one final time, and what's really going on is somehow even scarier.
For just a second, the lights flicker, and his hallucination breaks. The empty tomb of a hospital vanishes, and in its place, we see a normal, busy hospital. Staff are walking around, nurses are at their stations, everything is normal. The real horror wasn't the empty building. It was that all of that chaos was happening only inside his head.
Now we see the real picture. Dr. Aryan isn't some hero trying to solve a mystery. He's a patient. He's being held down by orderlies, and they're taking him to the psych ward. And he's screaming, trying to warn them, completely convinced that he's the doctor and that the shadow is real.
But then you hear this one. Casual little comment from a ward boy that changes everything. He says this is the third case today with the exact same symptoms. So Dr. Aryan isn't the first. This infection of the mind, it's spreading. He's just the latest victim of an outbreak.
And right when you think, okay, so it's all psychological, the story hits you with its final, jaw-dropping punch. We cut back to Lab 7. That same microscope slide from the very beginning of the story starts to crack, all on its own. And from that crack, the shadow entity, the thing we were just told was just a hallucination, begins to ooze out into the real world.
So that leaves us with one last, absolutely terrifying thought. The infection is in the mind, sure, but the thing causing it is very, very real. And now, it's out. It's free. And if it's already claimed 3 victims today, the final question isn't if it'll find another host. The question is, who's next?